Never seen a smile so big on my little old lady's face until I tell her I'm going fishing all weekend. Pack up all of my bacon, I make plans for 7:45, and I swing around, pick up my date for the weekend. For some reason she seems to please when I'm leaving. There's something I'm missing when I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, sir. I will say this, big shout out to all of you who are joining us right now with the weather, and most of you, except for Lloyd. Lloyd is not from here. Corey, you're on the West Coast, so no, you don't. But most of you folks are from Ontario, and I'll tell you, this weather is absolutely gorgeous. So for all of you who are joining us with this kind of weather outside, special thank you, big shout out, thank you for you guys. I will say this is going to be a tough show to follow up what we had last week with Gussie. I will say to anyone who watched it, and if you haven't, make sure you go back and watch it, because that was definitely one of my favorite shows. Absolutely awesome. All of the segments, all of our featured guests. It was awesome. It was just a wicked show. So big shout out to Gussie for showing up and doing that for us. Of course, Big Jim for setting it all up, as he always does. And he's here again tonight. So is Jay. Our thoughts are with Lawrence and anybody who's in the Ottawa area. You guys are dealing still with the aftermath of that ice storm. And I think it hasn't really been properly broadcasted or talked about because it wasn't until I was speaking to some colleagues who actually live in Ottawa that told me about how much damage there was and what it actually caused. So for all those who are struggling without power, I know Terry, your power might not still be on, and if Terry's not with us tonight, that's probably why. So again, thoughts are with all of you folks out that way that are struggling after the aftermath of that storm. But those who are here, as I said, big shout out, thank you. Can't thank you, Jeremy, enough. Big Steve and all those edits today and what's going to be going on the rest of the week. Again, if you do have an edit for Walt, myself, or Steve to do, please put it in the inbox. It's busy. I will say this, it's very busy, and Steve and Walt are doing a fantastic job keeping up with it. So shout out to them, and of course, all those who are sharing their content. We really appreciate it, because it's that transition time, right? It's tough. It's tough for us just to get content, be creative, and but we love the folks that are still sharing. Tony, how you doing? Lloyd, thanks for all your sharing today, buddy. Really appreciate it. Of course, you, Richard Dunlop, my good Lord, man, you are phenomenal when it comes to sharing our stuff. It's really appreciated. That's about all I can say. I'd probably swear just to exemplify how appreciative I am, but needless to say, dude, I thank you. For all of us, thank you. Corey, as mentioned, nice to see you on the West Coast. What time is it out there, dude? What is it, about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock? I don't know. What time is it? It's awesome that you're able to join us like you are with the time difference like that. Joe Moore's in the house. Nice to see you. I know, Jeremy, up your way. I hear there's lots of flooding, not to mention the warm weather. Lots of flooding that could be going on. Solely Outdoors, always a pleasure to have you as well. Nick, nice to see you. As I said, last week was an incredible show. Gussie came on. We all had a chance to talk to him and discuss his winning. This past week, I think it was in the weekend, it was at a Jets game. They actually put it on the clock up top, the Jumbotron, if you will. And they showed some videos and congratulated him on his winnings, because it is, dude. This is a big deal. Win the Bassmaster Classic, that is a huge, huge deal. And we've talked about it at great length, but it can't be talked about enough. Of course, Jim getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. It was a weekend. It was a weekend, whatever you want to call it. It was an event of all events, totally epic, and it was heavy on the Canadian content, but the folks down in Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Bassmaster and Bass, can't thank those folks enough. You guys did a fantastic job appreciating us, welcoming us, and rolling out the red carpet. But the accolades continue, and you know what? They should for both Gussie and Jim. It can't be said enough. So I'm sure Jim will be talking about it and thanking folks. Again, I don't have many announcements. We've got Jim coming up. Of course, Jason Lawrence, as I mentioned, is not going to be able to with us because he has no internet because of the ice storm. And Moose will be joining us to wrap things up. He's going to be our anchor, and we look forward to what hopefully will be a great show. So again, thanks for all of you for joining us. As I said, can't mention it enough in regards to upcoming events. I'm sure Moose is going to be on here to talk about the Lunker Bowl with CSFL and, of course, the OFC Nation charity tournament. So I look forward to discussing that with Moose. But I will say this, we do have our retreats coming up. First off is Horwood Lake Lodge. It is August 14th to the 19th. As I said, we still have room. We're looking for you to join us. It's just outside of Timmins, and I'm telling you, it's going to be one of your most favorite fishing experiences that you'll have. It is one of the highlights of my summer, I'll tell you, and sharing it with some CFNers is exactly a good part of it, to say the least. Have a look at this teaser. So as mentioned, August 14th to the 19th, please reach out to Doris and Warren or just go to the website. It'll point you in the right direction, and it'll do an even better job than I just did when it comes to explaining all the amenities, what to expect, the wildlife you could run into, and of course, your accommodations, your food, and all the fishing activities that they have available. You literally eat, sleep, and fish. That's what you do at Horwood Lake Lodge. It is absolutely phenomenal. And I look forward to yet another year, which is our fifth annual CFN retreat. And of course, it is our second annual Camp Macintosh OFC Nation retreat. That is coming up in September. We have a teaser for you as well. Have a look at this. Where are you going, Don?
Camp Macintosh.
Yeah, baby. again, Camp McIntosh, September 22nd to the 24th. As you can tell, the fishing in terms of the size might be a little bit bigger than you see at Horwood, and it should be. It's right where the French River flows into Georgian Bay. And if anybody has ever fished Georgian Bay, you know, I don't have to tell you. The fishing is it's a little different there in terms of size. You'll see monster pike. You'll see monster muskie. You might hook into a monster walleye. And, of course, all of the smallies you could possibly handle. If you like smallie fishing, that is your place to go. So, as I said, September 22nd, 24th, get a hold of Tracy and Andre, our hosts up at Camp McIntosh. Can't wait to get up there. It was a fantastic time last year, and we're looking to book the place again this year. So it's not too far. It's just north of Perry Sound, and again, well worth the trip. 409 in Oregon. Thanks, Corey, for that. Rob's in the house. Nice to see you, my friend. Steven's here. Got a whole bunch. Keith Duster's in the house. Well, you know what? That's it for me and announcements. It's time to bring on the heavyweights, and I don't mean that because of stature, just simply because they mean a lot to our community. Jim's coming up next, right after this. There he is, the one and only, the legend, the Hall of Famer, Big Jim McLaughlin. How you doing,
What's going on, guys?
Nice to see you. Nice to have you. I know you're a little exhausted from your weekend with all the grandchildren. Happy Easter. Again, happy belated Easter to everyone as well. I'm glad you had fun with the family, but I'm sure you're feeling the after effects of that.
Yeah, I had to put on the black and white striped shirt a few times. Oh my God, they're wild. They're wild.
Yeah. They
I can't imagine what I was like.
Well, again, we're all guilty of it. We were all kids at one point, but yeah, nonetheless, you put them all together in a room for how many days was it?
No, it was 3.5 days.
That's tough, man. That's a haul.
Now he's just licked.
I can imagine.
She wouldn't sit down. I heard my daughter use foul language to her, explaining to her to sit down.
Wow.
Yeah. So, because she won't stop it.
No, I hear you. Of course, as I said to the folks when we came on, it's hard to follow last week's show. The accolades continue to come in. I noticed you've been recognized recently in a magazine. I think it was Ontario Out of Doors.
Yep.
Not to mention Gussie showed up on the Jumbotron at the Jets game. So it's still continuing, but it just goes to show the magnitude of both of your accomplishments.
Yeah, Scotty, the feeling will never go away for me. I'm sure Gussie has a lot of big days to come yet.
Yeah.
Because he's just a young lad, basically. Well, not young, but still kind of wet, so to speak.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of big days to come. But for me at this point in time in life to have something like that happen, and the fact that you got to share it 100% with me, man, couldn't be any better.
Absolutely.
Couldn't be any better.
It was an honor to say the least. I
got a call from Canada Customs today.
Oh no, they found out.
Yeah, they had you on the camera.
What was I doing? Was I taking a leak on the bridge or off the bridge?
No.
Oh, good. I'm glad they didn't catch that.
Operating an air fryer and the plug-in.
Oh, too funny. Yeah, we had lots of good laughs, lots of fun. Shared a lot of memories, most of which I'm going to take to my grave. But it was interesting seeing a picture with Gussie, knowing and meeting him and standing beside him. Dustin Bufflin, that he's a big man.
Yeah, he's like an inch and a half taller than me.
Whew, that boy's big.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine playing hockey or anything else. I can't imagine playing chess against a guy that size.
Well, that's why that's the reason why they hated me when I was young. I mean, I was almost the size of him 55 years ago.
Wow.
So it's
yeah, common for you, out of the
the
ordinary.
best ever is the picture of him when they had the big brawl and he's holding two guys by the neck.
Yes.
Gotta hold it too.
Yeah. Settle down, you two. Settle down. Yeah, that was funny. Really, really funny.
No desire to hit anybody. These guys aren't fighters. It's
No.
You never hit a guy that isn't a fighter.
100%. I wanted to share something with you. I picked it up on an Instagram post. It was from Lunkerville.
Oh yeah.
Good buddy Mike, and I want your take on it. It was interesting, and the gentleman is very passionate about the idea, but I kind of want your take on it.
So when I talk about this, do I have to wear my Scotty Martin mask?
No, sir. Here it is. Here.
Anybody to try this, I have found that you actually catch more fish and they're held more securely by mashing the barb down, which leaves just a little lump on your hook shank. Generally we don't get the barb into a fish probably till halfway through the fight. Generally we lose fish way before that, as anybody knows that fishes. So when you're fishing, mash the barb down and try it. And remember that the barb is not to hold the fish on the hook, it's to hold the hook in the fish, and it doesn't weigh anything.
That's Doug Hannon. He's been dead for a long time.
Oh,
He's the guy who invented the weedless prop.
yeah.
He's the guy I had dinner with the night we met Tommy Morrison.
Okay.
That's when we did I did a big infomercial in Kansas City with Doug Hannon and Roland Martin.
Wow.
And he was there. Yeah, he invented the weedless prop. That four-bladed prop that they have on Minn Kota. And he explained the night he came home, like Doug liked to drink. And he came home and he said it was like 3:00 in the morning, and he goes out to the garage and he gets a pop can. And he had the idea for the prop. And he cut it, the shape of it, out of a pop can by folding it and all kinds of things to it. Eh? It was like quite the deal. Yeah, no, that guy, I think he caught, at one point they said he had caught like 400 plus 10-pound bass, but I mean, he fished in Florida and places like that all the time. He's a Canadian, eh?
Doug's a Canadian.
Yeah, he's from Winnipeg.
Did not know that.
Yeah, his wife was a stewardess, and then she became, I think somebody told me she ended up being the head of the organization and everything for the stewardesses. Yeah, like big time. But he was a great guy. He was a great guy and a hell of a fisherman too.
Well, it seemed like it, and again, as I said, very passionate in his depiction of what needs, just to try it. Not necessarily that this will work above everything else, but try it. He was challenging folks.
I could. That's a long time ago.
Yeah,
and that's also before braided line, Scotty. Braided line, as you've heard me say many times, changed things. If you were a fish, you didn't get off the hook with braided line because people don't set the hook.
Right.
But I mean, the number of times when I used to guide, I'd be sitting there and I'd lean over and grab the rod in the middle of the guy. They're starting to fight the fish, and I'd take the rod and give it a quick jerk, to make sure that they got the hook into the fish. But with braided line, that's not really a factor. Not really a factor. Although, did you see the picture I posted last year where I was looking at some old pictures from fishing down the back here one night?
Okay.
And I play around with photos sometime, and I'll look at the fish's mouth for hook marks and things like that. Have I caught it before or someone else catch it before, And I'm looking at it, and I realized that the crankbait, the Macbeth in its mouth, that the hook was not past the barb. And that was after I lifted the fish out in the air, so the weight of it on the hook and everything. Wow. And it was right against one of the little bones inside their lip. So it could not penetrate any further. But if I would have really jacked it, it would have it would have slid off the bone probably and went in, because those hooks are, the hooks today are so different than when Doug did most of his fishing. And like I say, braided line.
100%. So, Jim, to further this, obviously, in some places it's the law. You have to fish with barbless hooks. They say this obviously because it does less damage to the fish. I don't know if I agree or disagree to that, because at the end of the day, a fish fighting with one hook in its mouth, whether it's all the way through to the barb or not, it's going to stretch that tissue. I don't know how you get away from that, but
I truly believe it's not the fighting and the hook on the fish that do the damage.
Okay.
It's the fishermen with the pliers tearing hooks out of fish like idiots.
Okay.
I've watched it too often. People taking pliers and cranking and just tearing it out. And they look at you, oh, look at it, piece of jaw on the hook. That's where the damage comes.
Gotcha.
That's where the real damage comes. Because, I mean, you fished with me, and 9 times out of 10, if I catch a fish on a jig or a chatterbait or something, you hold it up, the hook sticking out, you take the palm of your hand and you go like that, it just pops it out. It's like taking it out of your skin with the line. There's no hole. You don't even know where it was. There's a little red dot. It looks like you had a needle or something. It's nothing. But
so
when
that's
guys start twisted, yeah.
That was where I was going to take this. So obviously, people we'll talk about the importance of the health of the fish when it comes to releasing it. We could talk about that till the cows come home. But just one thing when it comes to the hooks, a barbless hook is a little bit easier to dislodge from a fish's mouth. However, as you just mentioned, you have to know how to do it properly. Barb or barbless, it can be done, and it can have very little damage to the fish.
The other thing too is Scotty, is that you hear me talk about the parabolic arching rods all the time, the crankbait rods with the big bow in them.
Yeah.
Well, if you have that, then it's just like gaffing the fish. If you keep if the line's taut, the lure can't come out of its mouth. Right. That's why when they jump, the line gets slack. When they come to the side of the boat, you stop the rod being bent. We've been over this so many times, and that's when fish get off, even with barbs.
Right.
So yeah, they would get off, but I believe it's Manitoba where you have to fish barbless.
There's some private lakes that it's a requirement. Yes, you're 100% right.
Yeah, when I went to Kasagami, it was like that. They asked you to bend the hooks down.
Wow.
Yeah, but if you go to a place like Kasagami, you might catch 100 fish in a day.
So
and 100 fish? Yeah, and I'm talking 100 fish in a day on a counter.
Yeah.
That started at 0. Not, oh yeah, we caught 100 today.
Yeah.
How long do you fish for? 3 hours. So you caught and release the fish every 3 minutes?
And speaking of which, there were no tails down in Knoxville. I don't imagine many, as you mentioned before we went live, of those anglers that were fishing with barbless hooks.
I'm Jeff Gustafson. I'm bending all my barbs down. Fishing for smallmouth.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to clear the water by 6 feet.
So true. So
yeah, it's like anything else. It's a personal preference.
Yeah.
And for a person who doesn't do a lot of fishing in that, so they lose the odd fish, they're probably just as excited having the tail, because when they lose the fish, it immediately goes from being 2 pounds to 5.5. So, I mean, that's just a standard rule. Like, we actually have a chart for lost fish where like a 1 becomes a 2.5, 3 becomes 4.5. You lose a 4-pounder, it was a provincial record, so you got to have a few get off the hook sometimes so you can fit them up.
And yes, obviously, Jeremy, when it comes to toothy critters, the less you have your hand around the mouth of those fish, the better. So popping it might not be your best option. Obviously,
well, I just hold them by the eyes.
Okay. Maybe we should say you don't hold them by the eyes.
And then release them.
And then release
them. Just bump it into logs and rocks,
Wow. It just went there. Outside of that, Jim, as I said, you have been busy trying to get the spring issue of Just Fishing.
Yeah, in fact, before Tammy went out to rest her butt and have something to eat, she handed me, she left this for me on top of the printer. So that's the front page. And you see who we got on front?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Such a, what?
Looking guy here.
Absolutely. Hard to miss. Hard to miss. I have to say though, Jim, what a treasured moment for those two, Gussie and his wife. I don't know who was more excited, Gussie or his wife.
I can talk about this forever. When she runs around in front of him and looks at him and goes, "Hey," I just started to cry.
Yeah.
It was every time I see it. Well, I told you last week, the guy coming to Gagnon, Jamie Wilson, and giving me the box of Kleenex.
Yeah.
Here, I thought you might need this weekend if you talked about this. Yeah, no, I got to say something too. I was talking to people. I talked to so many people at CanCast because they had the flash boosts there and everything, people to look at. And everybody's standing with it going like this to look at it. You don't have to. These things just sitting still.
Yeah. It's unreal. It's
and this is the way it was designed to be like that. Like I noticed I had one day last year, I was out in the boat here with a buddy of mine just for an hour in the evening. And I had a box of them sitting there, and I kept on going.
Because
I'd see something move, like something moving, eh? It kept on catching me. But see, it's sitting on my pad on my desk right here with my list of things I haven't done yet from last week. And it's still, since I put it down, it's still just doing it.
It's unreal. And
it stopped now. It stopped now.
And who came up with that technology? Obviously, it was Shimano, but who was the genius?
Yeah, the engineers.
Unbelievable idea. Absolutely.
What happens when you design and build your own stuff, eh?
100%. And Jeanette
Shaw loves the boost.
Jeanette says, "I see you put some fluff on that one, Jim."
No, that comes with that. That's just a few little hackles.
Nice. So what they have crankbaits, they've got poppers. What else have they got now, Jim?
We've got everything now. See, I'll just leave that sitting there. It's not going to hang down far enough. It's got to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I was going to let it hang there and just let you see it. Yeah, they introduced a whole bunch of new stuff again, and I'm assuming there's more coming at ICAST.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
A lot of new things coming at ICAST. So
I can't wait to see what's unveiled at ICAST from our good folks at Shimano. They have some really, really interesting stuff that some of us have had privilege to see and talk about and hear about, but we can't, unfortunately, unveil it until ICAST is over. And we have to wait.
Yeah, I watched so many people had bought one and they're standing with it, showing it to their buddies, shaking it and going, whatever. I said to them, "Here, hold your hand still. Put it on the counter," and the guy's looking at it. He's in shock, I said, "That's what it is."
It's funny. Jeanette just said, "I would have loved to have got one, but Steve Shaw bought them all out across Ontario."
Had to work overtime.
Yeah, Steve loves his Shimano boosts and that whole line, the Live Minnow. It's just it's unreal, and I'm looking forward to trying it for the first time this year. Jim, as always, I know you want to get going. You got to get several pages done on the next issue of Just Fishing. We look forward to seeing that, as well as you next Monday. Until that, any other things you wanted to mention before we leave you?
Oh, you want to hear something cool?
Okay.
I've been waiting for this trouble with my spine to see a specialist.
Yeah.
So last Thursday, Tammy brings me the phone, and she says it's the hospital. And she looks at me and goes, like, it's a doctor. You need to talk to her, right? So she puts me on the phone, and I thought it was going to be the people from the cancer unit or something, what next day. And anyways, the lady says, the doctor says, "Hi, Jim, I'm Dr. I forget her name." And she says, "I see here that your doctor put in a request last February, and like a year ago, February." She says, "I'm so sorry it took us so long to get to you, but," she says, "I'm sure you watch the news and, the health system is really racked." And she says, "We're actually only in physiatry on Wednesdays. You only have 1 day a week for this in a city like Ottawa." So I was, and anyway, she explained to me that's right around the back of the cancer unit. I had actually brought Tammy there. This is one of the things that they were looking at. Tammy has 2 MRIs this Sunday morning at KGH. They're going to look, and then they're going to do the exploratory. They're going to do the same route they went with the scope to do it and see what happens if they don't see anything in the MRIs. But anyway, it's the doctor from physiatry. And I says to her, "Well, yeah, like it wasn't last February. It was the February before." So I hear, and she goes, "Oh my." I says, "Yeah, it's like 25, 26 months I've been waiting for this." So I thought they were going to say, "We'll see on December 12th, or something like that. And she says, I have an opening on May 10th. I said, I'll take it. And she sort of laughed. But then she said to me, I wasn't sure if you still needed the appointment. And that's really funny. That's what my chiropractor, Warren, told me, because he's on the hospital board of both hospitals, Perth and Ottawa. And he said to me, usually the issues, somehow the body has a way of fixing a lot of the things that are wrong. Like you're in terrible, dire straits, and 2 months later you forgot that it ever happened.
Yeah.
Your body has a great way of healing and fixing itself. But anyway, she asked me, and I said, no. I said, I could make it do it for you, whatever it is. She said, I see it talks here about the trembling in your posterior, is what she said to me, and whatever. And I said, yeah, I can make it happen for you. Just give me three or four minutes without moving. And she said, well, I look forward to it. That's what she said.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Well, it's good news.
Yeah. So, and then if that's not the case, then if they can't do anything, then I'm going to stay the course with Warren and get back at it.
Right.
Not much you can do.
All our thoughts are with you, buddy. We hope for healing, and we hope to get you back into tip-top shape. Maybe challenge Bufflin to
fighting shape. Well, I don't want to ever mess with that boy.
I'm just kidding. Jim,
when I was 25, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. Not now. God.
100%. We're older and wiser. 100%. Well, Jim, as always, dude, thanks so much for joining us as you do every Monday. We look forward to the spring edition. We look forward to seeing you next Monday.
I look forward to it too, guys. Everybody be safe out there. Oh, the ice behind my house.
Yeah.
Yesterday morning, for the right bet, I would have tried walking on it.
No way.
It's gone.
In one
36 hours. Gone.
Wow.
And we didn't get rain. It went up to 13, 14. Same here today, and a big wind today.
Yeah.
And it pushed all the ice up against the docks. And then when I got up this morning, it was glass calm. It said the wind was 0, and it was spread out. It was just getting light. You could see it. It was spread out all over the place. And 2 hours later, the wind was 30 k's from the southwest, and it was all pushed up against the docks. And from what I looked there earlier, it's all gone. It melted.
Incredible.
You know what that means?
Yep. Fantastic. It's
lawn chair season.
It's long overdue for anyone who has been waiting and jonesing like this guy. We can't wait for that open water. But what I also can't wait for is to see Steve Shaw in this boost giveaway that he has upcoming and planned. So lots going on as
Did
always.
I win?
Yes, you did, Jim. Yes, you did. You won it all.
Can I? Where's my prize?
It's probably right beside you. It's
in the mail.
Yeah.
With the
all
check.
Right, you take care, man. All the best.
Okay, guys. Enjoy. Be safe out there.
Right on. And we got Jay Barnucz coming up right after a message from his sponsor.
The fear of failure is failure itself. The world of science rewards the ones who are willing to try and fail. Because without the courage to embrace failure, ideas remain ideas. But with that courage to fail and to learn, ideas can change the world.
Yes, they sure can, and so can Jay Barnucz, who joins us now. Thanks so much for joining us, Jay.
Yeah, guys.
It's as I said, it's a tough show to follow up from last week. I know a lot of us are still on pins and needles and whatever, just soaking it in, taking it in. But thanks for being a part of that last week, Jay, as you are every Monday. But something special. It was just extra special last Monday. That's all.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. It was a great show. Like, I think just to think back to it, having Gussie on for, like, even he had said, I got about 20 minutes, guys. And the next thing you know, he's there for the full hour. Right. So, and I think it was great to really appreciate how, I'm disappointed this year I couldn't make the trip down to the Classic, but I'm so happy that a lot of people that I know very well got to experience the Classic this year, and just what a great event it is. It is truly a great event, and Bass does a great job. And you don't have to be into bass fishing to enjoy the Bassmasters Classic. I think it's it's a real showcase of just the fishing world. Now you have to enjoy, like Heather describes it as a cross between fishing and like the WWE, when you go into that stadium and the pyrotechnics and the music but that's all part of it, right?
100%. But no, I like that analogy, because it really is. And I will say this, not to knock any of our Canadian folks, because they try to do their best, but I'll tell you, when it comes to promoting a sporting event, like look at the Masters on the weekend.
Yeah.
If you love golf, or even if you didn't and you watched it, just what a spectacle. Not a chair, not a seat was empty. It was incredible. It was captivating just to see the passion that folks have for following a sport like that.
Yeah, I agree. Like if you're a true golf fan, you probably have a bucket list trip plan to go to Augusta to go see the Masters, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of bass fishing, or even just fishing, the Bass Masters Classic is really something to consider going to. It's not the fishing, it's the show, right? So
that's awesome, Jeremy. I like it. Leah.
Yeah, so Jeremy, you're asking about my cup. This is my favorite cup, actually, by the way.
Nice.
This is my sister bought this for me. There is a pottery place in Waterford, Ontario. I don't even know the name of the place. I'd have to I'll get it wrong. Panaki. Anyways, this is 2014. So this mug's 9 years old. I got this for my birthday from my sister.
Wow.
And I'm just drinking water tonight, everybody. It's been a long weekend. I was out in the sun all day, so I got to hydrate a little bit.
That's awesome. Well, while you hydrate, as you know, we try to separate the days and at CFN in regards to, Mondays are Monster Mondays, Tuesdays are dedicated to trout. It is Monster Monday, and I know you love your carp, and I know there's a lot of carp anglers. Sonia, I know she likes to hook carp every once in a while. Look at this thing.
Wow.
97-pound common carp.
Isn't that amazing?
And it caught in the waters, from what I understand, in Russia.
Yeah. Okay.
I just can't get over the size of that.
Wow. That is a fish. Well, and I actually was listening to I got the kayaks out today, but when I'm in the kayak and I'm putting around, I'll often put like a podcast on in my PFD pocket, and I'll just like listen to a podcast while I'm out messing around. And I was listening to a great podcast from Alex Rudd. Alex Rudd's a podcaster, tournament angler, has a great show at Alex Rudd Fishing. Yeah. And Alex actually interviewed a biologist talking about, and this biologist specializes in pond management and talking about fish just like that carp, but this guy focuses more on bass and panfish, and talking about how he manages these places and how it's an interesting discussion. God, we could have a whole show on it or a whole series of shows, but it was neat to hear about how fish like that, you have to do so much planning. And I know I've met a lot of anglers who have traveled to Europe and the UK to fish for carp. And some of those carp fisheries there are so well planned. They're so managed, but for a reason, for the chance of having records like that,
and it's amazing to hear how many Europeans come here for our carp. When you got carp like that fishing, swimming around in your waterways, I mean, I understand why folks want to come to Canada to fish here. I love it here too, but when you have those kind of heifers available to you, holy smokes.
Yeah, that's right.
Incredible. Obviously, in a lot of cases, they do a lot of damage when it comes to the vegetation. So, it's a double-edged sword. They are a lot of fun to catch. If you haven't targeted them, I suggest trying it at least once. It's like trying to get a truck out of the mud, reeling in one of those. Now,
I think carp have done their thing here in the Great Lakes. I think it's important to manage the carp, in certain areas. Like I know people get upset about carp removal in some places, but carp do some damage and they need to be managed. And listen, it could be any species of fish. There's so many species of fish out there that if they were causing harm to a local ecosystem, you got to consider removing them. It doesn't matter whether it's a carp or like, there's cases where northern pike are causing problems, and it's in the West, there's brook trout are an invasive species in some systems, right? So, carp. That's what carp do. They get big and they get nasty and they make a mess. So, but I think in the Great Lakes, we do have a special carp fishery here, and it is pretty cool to actually meet people here. And if you want to meet some interesting people, just take a drive between Peterborough and Lakefield in the summertime. There's so many carp tourists that come to that system just to target carp. It's really amazing.
It is. We used to have a hockey tournament every year in Peterborough with one of my boys, and I was amazed that some of the cottages that got rented were folks from Europe, and they come over every year. It's an annual tradition, and these guys fish like 24 hours. Those lines are set up. They've got the alarms on. As soon as it starts peeling drag, they're waking themselves out of bed, whether it's 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. It's incredible to watch. But their dedication is incredible. Now, Steve's asking, is the population stronger in Canada than in Europe? I don't know.
I don't know that, but I'm going to say we have, from my understanding, we have way more opportunity here than in Europe. A lot of European water is very private. Whereas a lot of our water is government owned. And so there's a lot more opportunities to angle for carp here, and especially angling for large carp. Our Great Lakes and the interconnecting rivers of the Great Lakes, like the Trent and like the St. Clair and the Ottawa and the St. Lawrence. So I think that the carp fishing here, that's why it's so popular. It's not that I don't think it's as much as who has more, but more about which place has more available areas to fish, and I think we do here. That's my guess. It's a bit of a guess, Steve. That's my guess.
No, you know what? That's a great point. And to further that, Jeremy, you're 100% right. We did hold a World Carp Fishing Tournament here, Fishing Canada. The boys at Fishing Canada put that on. Great success, and there were a lot of incredible fish caught.
Well, hey, there was a lot of controversy with that event too, though, Scotty.
I didn't hear that.
There was controversy. So, in a good way, but so you recall recently where now I could be wrong on this story, but the line you can fish with more than 2 lines now for carp, right?
Yeah.
Well, they had to get, for the original event, they had to get it's not a rider, an exemption from that rule, and it took years of lobbying to get that exemption. So, because when you couldn't host that event here in Canada without that exemption, right? And so it was, and I remember it was actually on Ange and Pete. It was on their show regularly that they were lobbying for this. They pushed for it, and they finally got it. And then now it's not only is it an exemption, it's also, now it's also in the regulations now. So if you're fishing with organic bait, you are permitted to have up to 3 lines. So
incredible stuff.
Long time coming.
And Mike, thanks for that, dude. Ontario record, I believe, is 68 pounds out of the Ganny.
Cool.
That is wow. And Corey, what's this? There is one lake in Oregon. There's a river carp in there over 150 pounds. Oh my Lord.
That's possible. Like some of these carp, I've if you go on YouTube and look at carp fishing in the US, they actually name them. There's some small lakes and ponds in Europe where the carp are actually named because they're caught and released with some regularity, and some of these fish are just giants.
No, 100%. And George, yes, that's actually a great trivia question. Great trivia question. What is the most invasive species in East Northern America?
It is smallmouth bass. They were stocked, a lot of it from trains in Ontario. The story in Ontario is they were stocked from trains. Most of the water systems in central Ontario that were inaccessible back in the late 1800s, I believe, that's where the smallmouth bass were were brought in on trains and literally dumped off the train into rivers and lakes along the train tracks. That was one of the first introductions, and they just spread, and there's actually our lab's been involved with some work looking at their spread into Algonquin Park. Now they are in Algonquin Park in some systems, but some systems they're still new and they're working their way through river systems. They can find their way. They're, the other one that's kind of pesky is rock bass, but they find their way too. So yeah, it's happening right under our noses with some of the most common fish. We don't think about it sometimes.
It's interesting you talk about trains because we're dumping smallmouth out the train while we're picking up frozen sturgeon. They use that when they ran out of wood. They would literally, in order to create steam for the steam engines, they would use frozen sturgeons. That's how plentiful they were in our St. Lawrence, Lake Ontario, and all the watersheds towards the Atlantic. They were readily available. They used to be in piles. They would fill them up at every train station. I can't imagine have a pile of wood and a pile of carp or not carp, sturgeon, and you're using that to produce heat, which of course produce the steam that ran the engines.
You can grow trees faster. You can grow sturgeon,
right?
Not
the thought that not efficient, that readily available and just like wow, that's incredible. That is absolutely
that is sad too.
It is sad. It is 100%.
Well, hey man, let's talk about something really cool. I'm gonna share a link here in the chat, and there's a story that came across my desk this week, and it's actually out of the town of Thornbury. Now we're all familiar with the Beaver River in Thornbury, and if everyone gets a chance, click on this link or click on it later. And it actually just shows a really cool design of a fishway in Thornbury. And in Thornbury, they actually took this river, and I don't want to get it wrong, so I made a note here. So this particular called the Little Beaver River in Thornbury, and they've opened up this new fish ladder, and this new culvert will allow fish movement through this section of the Little Beaver River, which the barrier that existed, Scotty, was right near Georgian Bay where it comes out. So it's right in the town of Thornbury. This is the first time fish can pass this barrier since 1872.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you look at it, it's not a major barrier to me. Like they've made just a simple fishway, and all it is a series of baffles. If the video just shows how there's a series of little baffles, and the fish can it's almost like a water slide, but in reverse going uphill, and they just scoot up the baffles. And they've put this in place in Thornbury. I just thought it was a really cool design, and I was really impressed. But then when I read the article, I'm like, 1872, so that's 150 years.
That's incredible. And
Dude, I was born in 1974, so I did the quick math on that just now. I'm like, that's 150 years. Holy shit! Sorry,
that's incredible. And to think, what species of fish were running up that river back then?
Back then it would have been brook trout and lake trout. The steelhead might have been introduced, but I don't think so. And this work was done by what's called the Beaver River Watershed Initiative. And you know what? I'm going to share their Facebook right here. So they must be doing work on the main Beaver River, which is the famous Beaver River in Thornbury, but they must also be doing work on the neighboring watersheds too, the Little Beaver. In this one, it flows into Georgian Bay just like a half a mile to the north of it. So they have a watershed group there that are doing some great stewardship work. The other one I wanted to share, Scotty, and this is just something that folks can take a look at when they have time. Right now, Trout Unlimited Canada is celebrating their 50th anniversary in Canada. And if you go onto their Facebook page, they're highlighting 50 projects that have made a difference to fish and fish habitat across Canada. So it's a pretty cool little promotion for the great volunteers that work in Trout Unlimited Canada. So if you get a chance, go on their Facebook page and check it out. There's some and if you don't follow their page, follow them. they're always putting up neat little tidbits of trivia. They have like it's called Terminology Tuesday, so they'll bring up like different biological or ecological terms to just to test your knowledge, and you can follow along, and I learn something from them all the time. It's a great Facebook page to follow. So Trout Unlimited, 50 years in Canada. What a milestone.
And you talk about all of the events, and I want to thank Steve as well as Marissa for sending me some pics and some videos.
Yeah.
This happened this past weekend. Of course, it happens every year. I can't get over the number of volunteers that show up. This, of course, is the Cobourg River, Little Cobourg River. Is that what it's called?
Cobourg Creek. So that's Cobourg Creek. So if you're driving, if anyone's been through Cobourg, right, there's a park right across the road from the McDonald's, if I do recall. And there's an old dam there, and the fish aren't able to pass the dam. And so every year there's the annual Cobourg Fish Lift, and it's been going on for a few decades, at least 30 years, I think. And volunteers come out, they net the fish and pass the fish up over the fishway. And they actually, I believe, they do it here with literally with a pulley rope system.
Yeah.
Because the dam is quite funny. The dam is quite high, so you just can't pass the fish over by hand. And they do this every year, and it's quite the event. And now they don't pass over all the fish. I think they follow a bit of a quota. And Steve, you can put in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they kind of track how many are going over.
Yeah, I think it was 150 or 170 fish. I think it was
200 max. Thanks, Steve. So 200 max. And what's amazing about that though is it's quality over quantity. So the managers who manage Cobourg Creek, there's such great spawning water up over that dam that they want to make sure that the fish are able to spawn successfully, because it's not a ton of spawning water. They can spawn successfully, and they also want to make sure those fish have a chance to get back. Right. So they manage that fishery that way. And I don't know all the details of that fishery, but I know they've spent a lot of time and effort. And if it wasn't for the volunteers, you wouldn't have that fishery as good as it is. And Cobourg Creek is a great 176 this year. So, and you saw the wall of nets. I've been involved in projects like that. It's hard to get all those fish. There's fish flying around everywhere. And this week is the time. If you guys, speaking of fish, if you want to get out and see some fish this week, we still have good water flow. So get down to the Ganny Fish Ladder or the Bowmanville Fish Ladder, or if you know of any local fish ladders where trout or where you have steelhead moving through, this is the place to get down. Our local steelhead fishery has been kind of slow. I think we've had our big spring runs, and I think we're going to start seeing fish drop back heavily now. But Lake Ontario tribs are literally bursting at the seams with steelhead right now going upriver. It's amazing some of the videos I've been seeing.
It is true. And as anglers, let's be cautious of that and cognizant of that, because of course, they are laying eggs. They're doing their thing. They're doing their best to keep the fisheries alive. And the more we muck around in the waters, the less we're doing to help them. So just be cognizant of that. If you are seeing fish that are spawning, or perhaps, I don't know, some things that you can look for to steer yourself away from walking through it. But it's use your best judgment. But again, for that event, Christine Clark, thanks so much for being the organizer of that. We're going to be featuring that more often on CFN, because as I said, you talk about volunteers. In a lot of cases, these folks aren't getting paid to do this. They're doing this for the love of the fish and the passion for angling. And we salute them, and we need to give them a bit of a shout out.
Absolutely. It's, if it wasn't for some of these, what we call in the business NGOs, non-government organizations, and these volunteer stewardship groups, if it wasn't for the great work that they're doing, we wouldn't have some of the great fisheries that we have. We can talk about, the classic one in Ontario, to me, is Ontario steelheaders, and, Denny's Dam and the Saugeen River. And they're probably one of the first programs like that in Ontario. And, but that grassroots stewardship projects like that have spread across Ontario and beyond. And so I think that, St. Catharines Fishing Game Club, and there's so many fishing game clubs around that have spawned from literally spawned, pun intended, from some of the great work like that.
So I'm going to challenge all of you. As I said, this was really cool to get the pictures and the videos so that we could put something together and of course, do this kind of shutout. There's pen projects, all kinds of stuff that's going on. Please share it with us so that we can give proper exposure. And as I said, a pat on the back to all those volunteers, because as we say, this stuff doesn't happen. If you're a guide, if you're just a passionate angler, our fisheries count on this stuff. And again, they need a hand, not to mention that part of it as well. They could use our help, but also just to inform folks of the great work that's going on out there.
Well, I'm going to share, I guess I can do this tonight. It's a little bit early, but I'll share this now.
And Steve, that's right. It's great for high school kids volunteering, looking for those volunteering hours. Great point.
Yeah. And that's actually why it reminded me about this event. So right now we have the Long Point Bay Anglers Association. So Long Point Bay Anglers is a club that I do a lot of work with, or try to. They're down here in our area. They actually, and I'm pretty sure they had the first live release boat even before Shimano had theirs.
Wow.
Like, they literally have had a live release boat for over 40 years down here. And it started out as a big John boat with a tub, like nothing fancy, but they wanted to do what they could, and they've evolved over time in this large pontoon boat now. But what they do every year is they have this pike tournament, and the pike tournament is held out of Sandboy Marina in Long Point, and proceeds from the event go back to the Long Point Bay Anglers Association, and Trevor and a couple of his buddies do volunteer work there to help with the weigh-in and run the fish, and then we release the fish afterwards. So, and pike are not the easiest fish to maintain in a tournament. They're harder than bass to maintain, but easier than walleye, Scotty, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
But the Long Point Bay Anglers Association is one of the first groups out there I've actually seen use compressed oxygen on their live release boats, and been doing that for about 10 years now. And that makes such an incredible difference. And it's a really, really cool group. Very, very cool event. And it's one that, even if the fishing isn't great, I've donated lots of money to them and not caught much over the years doing that event, but I'm happy to do it.
Todd, really appreciate this. It's comments like this that, as I said, it brings light to what's going on out there in our waterways and with our volunteer groups. Those who have a passion and are doing their best to try and keep the future fisheries alive and healthy. Again, if you do have any videos, pictures, or anything that you can pass along to us of some of the great work that's going out there, we want to highlight it, because as I said, we can't talk enough about it.
No, and I think that reach out to your local fishing game clubs or organizations like that, because they're struggling for volunteers. And I think there's so many CFNers out there and friends of CFNers who would love to get more involved in, a fish-based stewardship projects, or, you sort of like, I want to say fish, but ecology, aquatic ecology. So whether it's planting trees along the bank, or doing a fish lift, or, the local fishing game clubs in your areas are always looking for help. Like in London, there's the Thames River Anglers. I'm trying to think of, in East, there's the East. Oh, what are they called?
Metro East Anglers.
Thank you. Metro East Anglers is always a big one.
Yeah.
There's so many clubs that there's literally one in every municipality has their own group. And I would strongly suggest reaching out to them. I know the Lake Huron Fishing Club Todd mentioned, they need help every year just going into their hatchery. Like, there's a great group that I wish I lived closer to Kincardine, because they're always looking for help, like stuff like hands-on in the hatchery, like moving fish, checking eggs, clipping adipose fins. Like, we're not just, dude, we're not just talking, boring stuff here. We're talking hands-on fisheries volunteer work. That is amazing, right?
I challenge anybody, if you have not done it, go to a fin clipping session at one of these.
Yeah.
Groups. You will. I don't know what how to say it to give it its due course, but if you go to a fin clipping session, you'll appreciate volunteers so much, because that is probably some of the hardest and most meticulous work out there.
Oh, Sully, and Ottawa Saga Steelheaders. There's another great long running. Like, there's so many. I hate not mentioning them all. There's so many good ones out there. And I've been lucky enough to, and not through my own professional time, just through my own personal time, to network with these groups and help them out where I can. So, but yeah, there's so many out there. Reach out to your local ones. And you know what? I also challenge you, if you want to find a local group to help out and you can't, go on the CFN Fish Off group page, put a post, say, hey, I live in Chatham, or I live here or there, and I'd like to volunteer at a local group. There's always one to help out. Credit River Anglers, another one. Scotty, what's the one up in Halliburton we were talking about? They do a lot of stocking up there.
HHOH, that's their Halliburton Highlands. I don't know what the O stands for, but
outdoors. It's Halliburton Highlands Outdoors. Yeah. Yes. Anyways, but yeah, there's so many good ones out there, and I'm gonna be a little blunt for a second. A lot of these groups are fading away because a lot of the volunteers are aging out. They're aging out. A lot of the groups that I've been involved with in the past, I'm 48 and I'm the middle of the group, if not one of the younger ones. Yeah. I'm not joking. Like, we need, there we go. Halliburton Highlands Outdoors. Thank you, George. George always jumps in.
Right.
Big Creek, Todd mentions Big Creek Anglers. Yeah, there's one that I've talked about. Todd, I always talk about Big Creek Anglers. I don't want to give Big Creek Anglers any more press on this show. but there's another great one that right here in our own backyard, like in my backyard right here, that we're involved with. There's so many great ones out there. So, and I challenge anyone to, and if you have an association and you want to promote it, forward it to CFN. Happy to promote that on the CFN. On the socials, to use the term, right?
Mark, great question. What happened to the government funding these groups? To
be honest, Mark, there was never a lot of funding for these groups. The funding came, like, you could apply for different grants, but you still had to have money and matching funds and things like that. Like, you cannot get away from fundraising with to have a good group. So there are some small pots of money available, but it is hard. And a lot of these groups run through donations, and membership money is a big one. Even if you can't attend your meetings because you work or things like that, paying your dues every year and being like a long distance member, that pays huge dividends to some of these small clubs.
Yeah.
So
it used to be
George
called
brings up the OFAH, like, even like, I know, like, the community hatchery program is one that provides money to hatchery groups, but I know it's never enough.
CFIP used to be that channel, that avenue where you would receive that money from. Communities Fisheries Improvement Program, I believe is what it was called. I was lucky enough when we were raising walleye to get a grant from CFIP. To build our hatchery and what have you. So it worked. Unfortunately, a lot of those funds have dried up, and there just isn't the money. So not only do we need the volunteers, they need that financial boost as well. Because again, like, we leave it to totally Mother Nature, and as good as she is, she's not good enough.
Now, for some areas, like, let's say you have a club that wants to get involved with, let's say, just tree planting. We want to just tree plant along a creek, improve the shade the channel, improve the water temperatures. There are opportunities that, it's not directly fish related, but there are opportunities with local municipalities. And like, I know, like, some of the larger conservation authorities in the southern part of the province, they have funding available, and sometimes they have more funding available than groups to do the work. They have pots of money available for, like, environmental stewardship, but they actually don't have the volunteers to do the work. So, it's a matter of, I think sometimes it's a matter of, we just don't know what's out there, Scotty, and we just have to maybe promote it better. Maybe that's what we got to do.
100%, buddy. So you've been out in the kayak. What are your plans next? What fish are we going to?
Well, geez, if Trevor was here, he's got big plans, and I got to work for a living. So you know how that goes. Oh yeah, Manitoulin Streams. There's another one. See, this is great. Everyone should send. I'm going to drive you crazy, Scotty. Everyone tonight, send a Facebook or a website link to the CFN Facebook page as a message. Send a link to an association that you want to promote or that you thought of.
100%.
And once there's a bunch of messages, that's a lot of easy shares. I just click and paste that we can promote these.
Well, so, and perhaps maybe some folks, some anglers, depending on where they are geographically, they may not know what groups exist and what.
Yeah, that's it.
That's why we want to bring it to light and as I said, focus in on some of this work, not only to just showcase it, but so that you might not even know what's going on in your own backyard.
Yeah,
we're lucky in the GTA. We've got lots of groups up north, and not that far up north. We have a lot of great groups that are doing some fantastic work. Perhaps maybe far north, we don't need those groups, that they can just do shoreline restoration and rehabilitation, because Mother Nature is able to keep up with what's going on up there. But yeah, I tell you,
a big one for me. Yeah, sorry about that, Stevie. Your phone's gonna explode, buddy. I'm gonna have to send you something nice. But let's not just think about the fish. Let's think about the fishing too. A big thing that I've done in with stewardship work is actually get involved with improving fishing access. So like restoring docks so people can go fishing again, helping to improve boat ramps that have fallen to the wayside. You know what I mean? Like, there's improving fishing access, because fishing access is something that even though we have great fishing access compared to a lot of others across the globe and even across North America, we are losing fishing access in some areas. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is just bringing awareness to your local politicians and stuff too. So some of these groups are so important for that purpose alone, to maintain our fishing access, and not just the fishery, but the fishing itself.
100%. Dave Clark, Sonia, thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely, Sonia. Great one. Dave, man, Dave's loud and proud. He's always out there posting 100%. Great stuff, right? And that's the kind of stuff that we all should be sharing too. So
absolutely, sharing, caring, and involving ourselves as much as we can. Every once in a while, put down the pole and grab a shovel, grab a hammer, grab a fish, grab a pair of tweezers, whatever, because it does help out in a huge way. Jay, I'm all out. I don't even know what else to talk about, my friend.
Well, man, you know what? We got a nice week of weather ahead, Scotty. I hope you get outside and have a beer on your deck, and you're not always on your laptop talking about CFN. Not that I don't love you talking about it, but you need to make sure that you get out there. This week is really going to change things in Southern Ontario. Jimmy even mentioned about his backyard is, he's in spring mode now. Everything just cleared out. So, there's today, Trevor and I were out today, got the kayaks out for a couple hours, make sure things were working. A couple things weren't working. It's a regular maintenance. You just got to kind of tighten some screws here and forgot something there. So we kind of figured it out. So there's that. We did some bluegill and crappie fishing today. A little bit slow today for us, but honestly, from what I've been hearing, like, it hasn't quite started yet because of the warm weather, but it's coming. So the next week, catfish are on, spring salmon is on, spring brown trout is on. There is just a ton of great fishing that's coming up right now. And this warm weather this week is going to really kick some things off. And trout opener is only 2 weeks away, Scotty. So
unbelievable.
We are rolling. We are rolling right now. So.
And I know everybody is vibrant. If you aren't already out wetting a line, and God bless you if you are, because we're living vicariously through you if you're doing that. For some of us, as I said, we wear many hats and don't get as much time and the opportunities. We live vicariously through you, so we love seeing your content. And again, love to share it on the CFN Fish Off page, of course, the main page, with all the edits that Steve and Walter are doing. Just throw them in the inbox. Give us a little bit of a story, a little bit of a caption. Tell us, your journey. Tell us how you caught the fish, maybe what you were using, if I could be so bold. But needless to say, there is lots of species of fish that are going to be opening up real soon. We just got to hang on for a little bit more.
So, George, kill a trout, save a bass. George. I know he's got it. This Saturday, I just heard today. I've been invited to go down to Fishing World. They're having their spring sale, so I'll be hanging out in Fishing World on Saturday, which is in Hamilton. Mike and Jim, they've had the shop's been there, I think, for 30 years. So I'll be in there on Saturday, helping out, talking fishing with everyone there, all the local reps. I think it's going to be a little bit of a quiet day because the weather's going to be so nice this week, but I'll be down there helping out. So if anyone's in the Hamilton, Burlington area this Saturday, drop by Fishing World. I'll be there from like 8 till 4 on Saturday. So I hate to say it, I'd rather be out fishing, but I got asked to help. So I said I'd go give those guys a hand. So that's part of my job.
Oh boy.
Manny, what are you asking? Just wondering before you go, anyone sells rattles you can stick in plastic swim baits? Yeah, there's that. You know what, Manny, I want you to check. Let me think now. Rattles that go on swim baits. I am going to suggest, because these are stores that, again, I have no affiliation to. Check Gagnon's website, and it's such a unique item. You might have to call Gagnon's in Oshawa, and check Natural Sports in Kitchener is what I would check, and even Fishing World in Hamilton. I know the rattles you're talking about. They used to be used in tubes for like a tube rattle, and you could pop them in a swim bait, right? You just a small incision, it'll just pop inside of a swim bait. But it's kind of a unique item. You don't see those much anymore. God, I bet you I have a few around here if I look hard enough. But call those stores, and some of them now, that with the price of shipping now being like $15, $20, and it's overnight to your house. Some of these shops you can't help but support them because they're so bloody convenient now. So
100%. And Manny, I also invite you to reach out to Pal Castings. In fact, I will help you do that. I'm pretty sure Brad has something that you're looking for. He has a plethora of stuff. So I can only imagine he's got exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Put you in touch with Brad, and we will make sure that we get you set up.
And I see Alicia. So Alicia and TJ and some good friends of mine have been killing it on the Channel Cats recently, and I'm very jealous. But OWA is hosting a Channel Cat event, or a cat fishing event, Saturday, and that should be prime time with the weather this week. Alicia, I know you. I bet you're excited because I'm excited for you. And again, this is one of those events that Yvonne and the ladies over at OWA. God, I just want to go, Scotty. Can you and I just, what do they call that? Like
honored guests, or
can
we identify as something different for the day?
We're gonna photobomb or whatever, right? I think some of the events and the turnout they get at some of these events, I'm very envious of. So Alicia, good luck to everyone there, and 100%. I just look forward to seeing a lot of how should I put this? A big channel cat is an intimidating fish, okay? And I want to see I blend right in. I don't think so. Heather has pictures of me in a Halloween outfit from a few years ago, and I think I'd scare a lot of people. I'm just going to put that out there. But I think that for people who have not held a big channel cat before, that is a face to behold. And I want to see a lot of those pics, Alicia, because I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. But yeah, Alicia, Heather might argue, but I'm not a good blonde. That's all I'm going to say. As far as I'm going with that, I'm not a good blonde.
Well, you're a heck of a host, dude, and we love having you every week as you come on here and just blanket us with a whole whack of information. As I said, big shout out to all of the groups that are doing some fantastic work out there. As Jay has mentioned, send them our way. We'd love to highlight them, love to focus in on their activities, and of course the need for volunteers and help. Again, Jay, thank you so much for your time, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Great show, Scotty, and we'll see you next week, man.
Right on. Moose is coming up right after a word from our message. Jay, have a great week, my friend.
See ya.
Peace.
When it comes to Canadian food, we've got your back with flavors like lemon pepper, beer batter, campfire barbecue, lemon pepper dill, garlic butter and chives, and crispy Cajun. We've got a mix for every meal. Whether you're serving East Coast shrimp, West Coast salmon, succulent walleye, chicken wings, or veggies, we've got you covered. Coat your food in outdoor flavors. Available online or at these fine retailers.
Moose is in
What's
the
up?
house.
Hey, buddy, what's happening?
Not much, buddy. How you doing?
Good. I haven't had a chance to check out tonight's show. I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, but I got good news. Good news.
Oh, and are we keeping that quiet for now?
It's. I'm gonna announce the good news very soon. But I'm just gonna quickly run through what I've got on my plate here. Basically, all we're gonna do is talk about the charity tournament. So I'm sure you've touched on it. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to catch the show earlier. I was running around. But yeah, the charity tournament. So that's really all we're going to hammer down people's throats tonight.
Right on. Well, let's talk about it. Obviously, it is going to be May 20th. Is that May long weekend?
Oh, that's a good question. No, I believe the long weekend is the following week. Let me double check here. It's weird because May 2-4 weekend. Yeah, I think it falls on the following weekend.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Well,
May 2-4 falls on the Wednesday, so it's usually the weekend before, is it not?
Yeah, usually. Yeah, you're right. Let me have a look here. So it is. Yeah, it's the 22nd. So it is that weekend. What am I saying? It is that weekend.
May 2-4 weekend, baby.
Yeah,
May 2-4 weekend.
Right on. So that is a 3-day weekend. Could be 4 or 5, depending on who you are and how much vacation time you have. But needless to say, if you do have a little bit of vacation time, we'd love to see you up at Balsam Lake, May 20th, for, as Moose is going to describe, the Lunker Bowl. And how is this going to work, Moose?
All right. So May 20th, we've paired up with the CSFL. We've joined their Lunker Bowl. So our charity tournament is going to operate on the same day. We're going to use the same stage. We're going to use the same equipment to do our thing. Our pike tournament, now it is a pike tournament. Our pike tournament is going to be based on length, and the CSFL's Lunker Bowl is based on weight. Now you could enter ours for $75, or you can enter both for $425. The reason why it's $425 is because in the Lunker Bowl you're allowed to put 3 people to a boat. So $75 a person for the charity tournament, and it's $200 for the Lunker Bowl. Again, you can do one or the other, or do both. The bonus with doing both is it's double the amount of prizes, double the amount of winnings, double the amount of fun. So that's pretty much it. May 20th. I believe it's right out of the canal there. Pride of Balsam Marine. And yeah, it's there's going to be food, there's going to be music, there's going to be tons of giveaways. Just the regular charity tournament that we always run, or that Jeff's always run. We've kind of, as OFC Nation took it over a few years ago. And we just get together, we fish, we eat, we laugh, and we have a good time. So May 20th, $75 a person, includes food and a beverage. And a grab bag and tons of giveaways. Now, with that being said, the giveaways are starting to pile up. So obviously our good friends from Shimano have donated some goodies for us to give away. For second and third prizes will be given away. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but there will also be cash prizes for first, second, and third. Camp Macintosh. I received an email saying, "Hey Moose, how's it going? Here's a little something for the charity tournament. OFC Nation, for the OFC Nation charity tournament. May 20th, 2023. Your package includes a 2-night stay at Camp Macintosh for 2 people. It's an all-American plan, which includes shuttle, accommodations, homemade meals, boat, motor, and parking."
Wow.
On the French River, baby. So Camp Macintosh gave us a 2-night stay to give away to one lucky winner at the charity tournament. So I'd imagine the prizes are going to start to pile up here pretty soon. It's really not all about the prizing, but the prizing helps. Let's get out fishing. Let's catch some pike. Let's have some fun. And that's all I got.
100%. Well, there's some great questions here. Jeremy is asking,
Yeah.
is it total length or is it singular length per fish?
No, it's not total length. It's the longest, biggest fish of the day. First, second, and third.
So, and part of the reason we're going to do this, Jeremy, is we're going to be running in tandem with the MyCatch app. Mike is working feverishly on getting that set up so that if you do catch a fish, we'll have updates, regular updates, so you folks will know that if a 24-inch pike is the leading fish, if you've caught one bigger, then it's a good thing to measure it. Make sure you submit it into the MyCatch app. But if you catch an 18-inch pike, there's no point. Just unhook it, throw it back.
Well, that could be the third place fish.
That's true. Yeah, 100%.
Right.
So as I said, if with that live leaderboard, you're going to be able to keep up to date on what fish is in the lead, first, second, and third. So you'll know, and that way we can preserve the fish and make sure that we're releasing them when they don't need to be measured and get undue harm. So that's a great question, Jeremy.
Our weigh-in is at the end of the day, so at probably going to be around 3:30, between 3:30 and 3:45, or 3:30 and 4 o'clock. That's going to be our weigh-in. But with pairing up with the CSFL Lunker Bowl, their weigh-in is hourly. So every hour you could submit a fish. So as long as let's say you're doing both tournaments and you've measured your fish and you submitted it, you can go over to the CSFL stage and weigh your fish for that hour to see if you have the biggest fish of the hour, then you win the hour. And, it could be anywhere from $500 to $1,000, depending on how many boats that the CSFL Lunker Bowl tournament has. So it could be huge. It could be 400, it could be 300, it could be 800, it could be 700. It all just depends. So 2 ways to win, 2 tournaments, 1 day. They were kind enough to let us piggyback and sort of use their stage and stuff like that. And Viet will be up on the microphone, so it'll be the full experience. We did this because we kind of want people to see what the CSFL tournament series is like, and it might pique their interest to do a couple tournaments here and there. So it's a very, very cool setup, and doubles your chances of winning some goodies.
In fact, it triples your chances. And Jeremy, thanks so much. You pulled the rabbit out of the hat. The fish off will be running at the same time. So yes, you are right, Jeremy. I was going to mention that, but the CFN fish off will be running at the same time. So whether you get an immediate prize or a prize at the end, there's 3 chances to win. So again, it's a no-brainer. Love to see everybody out there. Manny's asking a great question, and I'll let you dive into this.
Do you have to bring your own boat?
Or is there boats that you can use to rent? The question is...
So as far as the CSFL and the charity tournament, the CSFL requires you to have, obviously, a boat that's insured and a proper vessel. It's not to say that you can't go out in an aluminum, as long as you have a working live well and the fish is taken care of. You have all the right safety gear where there's a kill switch. It has to be a proper vessel. So I don't know of any places on Balsam where you can rent a boat, but this is why we allow 3 people to a boat, because generally if you know someone who's a boater and has a boat, then you and one other person can join that person on the boat and split the costs 3 ways. Now, again, $425 for 3 people and a full day of fishing and the potential of winning prizes out of 2 tournaments is really not that much. If you choose to do the Lunker Bowl only, it's $200. And if you choose to do the OFC Nation Pike Tournament only, it's $75. So it's really up to you, but this is a little bit different from past years where we've allowed, kayaks and canoes and putt-putts and whatnot. Reason being is it's growing, it's getting bigger. Again, not to say that kayaks and canoes aren't welcome, because you can do the charity tournament still, because you're going to take a photo of the length of the fish and submit it. You just won't be able to do the Lunker Bowl on the CSFL side of things because of the rules and regulations that they have in place. So anyone is welcome as long as you have a safe vessel. then yeah, absolutely, you can do the charity tournament. Again, kayak, canoe, aluminum, whichever you choose, as long as it is a safe vessel, life jackets, kill switch, bail buckets and the safety kit and all that stuff. So as long as the MNR would deem the vessel to be safe, you can fish out of it.
100%. And to add to that, I do believe Richard Elliott is one who's offered up a seat in his boat. I'm sure there's going to be others that are going to be dragging their boat up and will have room. So Manny, getting closer to the event, we will remind you of what opportunities there are, what seats are available.
Yeah.
But the answer to your question, as Moose alluded from a CSFL standpoint, no. However, the charity tournament, yes, there might be an opportunity for you to grab a seat in somebody's boat and fish it. So,
and if you're out there and you're listening and you want to go out and fish this thing, people are always looking to get into a boat, right? So if you are solo or you have room for one more, there's two of you and you have room for one more, let one of us know and we can pair you up with someone or throw someone in your boat and help offset costs and add some more fun and joy. I don't want to throw it on one person's plate, but like I said, I know Richard Elliott's one. I know there's two other boats that potentially are going to be there. We haven't got 100% confirmation, but there's two other boats, which means that's 2 to 4 spots if you choose to do the CSFL Lunker Bowl as well. So as the days go on and as this kind of picks up a bit of traction, I will know a little bit better of who's going to be going and who doesn't have a boat and who does. So it's not to say that not everybody wants a stranger on their boat, but a lot of our community members don't mind taking somebody new out or don't mind taking somebody they don't know on their boat. Just be mindful of the other people's boats. Yeah. Shoes, tackle, dirt, garbage, food, all that kind of stuff. Some people don't like smokers on boats. Some people don't like food on boats. Some people don't like shoes on boats. So, we will cross those bridges when we get to them. But if you have an aluminum or a kayak or whatever you choose, you can do the charity tournament as long as it's a safe and a safe working vessel.
Awesome. Now, there is also an application form that folks have to fill out. Is there somewhere that they can go, Moose, to
Absolutely.
get that?
Absolutely. So in order to register for either one of the tournaments, you go to csfl.ca/registration. And halfway down the page, you'll see View CSFL and OFC Nation Event Registration Form. Once you click on that, it'll download a PDF, which is your registration form. You fill it out and you send it out to Miss Vida.
Right on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Moose, are you going to get out fishing anytime soon?
I
know you had a boat out this weekend.
No, I didn't have it out. I went and picked it up.
Oh, I thought you took it out.
I had it all purdied up. So no, I didn't take it out, not yet. I'm still installing things. My good buddy Kyle from Greywood came by with one of my new units. So yay. And then I've ordered a ridiculous sound system because I feel like I need a big badass sound system in the boat. So the beauty is Garmin and Fusion paired up a couple of years ago. So Garmin bought Fusion and Fusion has incredible marine speakers. So I went all out, bro. I bought 4 speakers, a sub, an amplifier. I'm going to be that jackass out on the water.
Come on, are you serious?
Oh yeah. Dude, listen, the amount of noise that we make walking around in a boat, it ain't going to scare I'm not going to blare music while I'm fishing, but I want some good tunes in my boat. Before and after and during, whatever, right? So we're currently rigging the boat, cleaning, rigging, and wrapping. We're putting a new wrap on the boat this year as well. So the boat, hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get out for perch opener. But if not, my first day on the water is going to be Balsam, May 20th.
There you go. Right on.
Yeah.
Right on, Moose. Well, as I said, you're going to be joining us leading up to that event and perhaps maybe after as well. Love seeing you. Love hearing from you, hearing what you're up to. sound system with some subs and what have you. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yes, sir. You know what is coming up before the Lunker Bowl is Trout Opener.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Our good buddy Randy has reached out to me on the weekend, and we have a spot available for us if we want to do that again.
Yeah. He called me. He said, let's get together. Let's do it. I said, I am down. Absolutely. So there could be some river fun. Some, doesn't always need to be out of a boat. We can go catch some rainbows. So
awesome. Looking forward to that, man.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to mention? Of course, we did mention at the top about the OFC Nation retreat at Camp McIntosh. Any other events that you wanted to talk about before we go?
All I really want to focus on right now is the charity tournament, May 20th. Guys, it is, we raise funds for a number of different reasons, and we're raising funds for a good cause. So I will announce the charity. They've told me to hold off until they finalize everything. I will announce the charity that we are going to be raising funds for, and I will also announce future upcoming events. But right now, all I want to concentrate on is our charity tournament, May 20th. Let's make it happen. I got a lot of goodies to give away, man. Tons of goodies to give away. So it's going to be fun, man. For $75, honestly, you get a grab bag. I bet you the grab bag's got a good $35 to $50 worth of stuff in it. So that right there is worth it. You know what I mean? And then you get a little lunch and a drink. Lunch, drink, and grab bag. It is what it is. Yes, 75 might be a little higher than, previous years, but let's face it. Just blame it on COVID and inflation and nonsense.
Nonsense. That's exactly.
But it's going to be a load of fun regardless. I'm trying to fill those. You know what? If I can get that grab bag to $100, anybody watching, anybody listening, if you guys want to donate 100 pieces for the grab bags, they're not for me. They're for everybody else out there. We give these grab bags out for a reason. You want to get product out there? I'll help you get product out there. No problem. Even if it's 50, even if it's 25, it'll be, whatever it is. I'm not begging for stuff. I got lots, but the more the merrier, right? So help me, help you, help you.
Right on, dude. Well, as always, thanks so much for joining us and spending a little bit of time with us, explaining what is coming up and what we need to be aware of. As always, Moose, you're a class act, my friend.
May 20th, csfl.ca, register. There might be a rod and reel in it for you if you register early. That's all I'm going to say.
There you go, buddy. All right. We'll see you later. Talk to you later, Moose.
Later, brother.
All the best. And with that, it is a wrap. Thanks, everyone, for joining us with all this wonderful weather that's going on out there. I know our viewership is probably going to diminish. You are going to watch it later on, which is great when it's dark, when it's time to come in. We really appreciate you coming in when you do. Of course, all of the interaction, all the engagement, all the great questions, and just having you folks here means the absolute world. Love you all. And I care about you all, and I want you guys to be safe and have fun fishing. It's almost time. And in some cases, it already is. Enjoy yourselves. Have yourself a great week. Again, thanks to all who have put in submissions for edits, Walter and Steve for all of their work to showcase our community, and of course the fishery that Canada has and has access to. I can't say enough about it. Love this community. Love what you guys do. Love what you represent, and just keep on keeping on. Dave, it's time to take us away. Enjoy your week, folks. All the best.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end.